Ben Peck alongside John Paul Chunga and Ben Stevens here in the Mello Center and taking a look at Syracuse's matchup later on this week against Villanova. We saw on the women's side it came down to a half-court buzzer beater earlier this week. If it comes down to that this Saturday, who do you want taking that shot?
It's not going to come down to that, but Brandon Trish would fire.
I'm going to have to put my cards in Trevor Cooney's hands, another great long ball shooter. But I think Michael Carter-Williams is probably going to pull the trigger because he really does like to shoot the ball.
Certainly a great rivalry. Probably not 34-616 on hand, but you never know. Probably a huge crowd anyway. But taking a look at Villanova and toward the latter part of this season, they won 7 games in a row prior to coming in and facing Syracuse. Came in, lost 72-61, 2 more after that, but then got the upset this week against Louisville, so definitely something to keep an eye on. But going back to that game against Syracuse, Villanova really struggled, particularly in the second half. What do they have to do differently if they want to come out with a different result?
Well, it was close in the dome, but you got to scrap that game plan. The way that they played against Louisville and stopping the guards is the way that it needs to go for the Wildcats to win this one. Michael Carter-Williams is prone to throwing the ball away and having some sloppy turnovers, as Coach Boeheim has said in the press conferences. It's Michael Carter-Williams that is the driving force for this team, and they need to stop him for 40 minutes.
And now, taking a look from the Syracuse side of the ball, obviously things did work well, as we said, particularly in that second half. What are some of those halftime adjustments that they made that they have to keep going in this one?
Well, when Villanova was up 2 in that second half, or going into halftime for that first game, Syracuse really bogged down in the 2-3 zone. Their length frustrated Villanova, forced them to deviate from their original game plan and start chucking up threes. They only went 5 for 23 in that first meeting. Really hurt them down the stretch, allowed Syracuse to get that victory.
A lot of interesting factors that could play pretty big in this one. An 11 o'clock start time, you don't see that every day. But when it really comes down to it, what is your X factor that's going to make the difference in the game?
It's going to be a professional game later on in the Wells Fargo Center, but you got to look at the rookies. The SU freshmen have to come up big if you want to see SU have some success. Trevor Cooney, DeJuan Coleman, and Jeremy Grant. They've been getting minutes more and more in the Big East schedule, and they're going to have to rely on them in these bigger games coming down the stretch.
My X factor has to be Syracuse's free throw shooting. In their first matchup against Villanova, they went 24 for 30 from the charity strike, hitting some crucial ones down the stretch to hold off Villanova's last run when they cut it down to 6 with just over 2 minutes to play. In their one loss on the season, they missed a whole bunch, 15 against Temple, really cost them that one. A team that only shoots 66% on the year, they're going to need to knock down the freebies when they have their opportunities to do so. Under
50% in that game certainly can't keep going like that. But in the end, who do you see coming out on top in this one?
It's going to be 73-58. SU's Michael Carter-Williams continues having good games down the stretch.
I got to go Syracuse 76, Villanova 68. I think Syracuse's length and that 2-3 defense holds strong against a team that is really not too prolific offensively.
Well, there you have it. That's what our experts have to say. And you can keep track of the game by following us at Citrus TV Sports on Twitter for all the in-game updates. Again, for Ben Stevens and John Paul Chunga, I'm Ben Peck. Thanks for watching.